Okay. All right. So now the Bala Haggadah is going to start the story. So let's just get straight into it. So מתחילה עובדי עבודה זרה היו אבותינו ועכשיו קרבנו המקום לעבודתו שנאמר ויאמר יהושע אל כל העם כה אמר השם אלוקי ישראל בעבר הנהר ישבו עבדיכם מעולם תרח אבי אברהם ואני אחו ויעבדו אלוהים אחרים ויקח את אביכם את אברהם מעבר הנהר והוליך אותו בכל ארץ כנען והרבה את זרעו ואתן לו את יצחק ואתן ליצחק את יעקב ואת עשיו ואתן לעשיו את הר שעיר לרשת אותו ויעקב ובניו ירדו מצרים. Okay. What is this? What is all of this? Okay, so again, the first thing that we have to understand here is why are we starting with Mitchila of the Avodah Zarah Hayu Avotenu? Why are we starting with that? So this is because of the din in the Gemara, that the Gemara says that there's a chiyuv to be maschil b'gnus and masayim b'shvach. And here's I think it's a machlokes in the Gemara, Rav and Shmuel, where you start the gnus from. Yeah, I think it's where's the gnus? Is it mitchila of the Avodah Zarah or was it Arami Oved Avi? I think that's the two sheeters from what I remember, right? But there's for sure a din of Mascha b'gnus and Masayim b'shvach, and that's what this is. This is the kiyum of. We have to start off with the gnus, and that's what this mitchila of the Avodah Zarah Hayu Avotenu. I have to understand. We were, our forefathers were of the Avodah Zarah. Now, why is that relevant? Why is that relevant? Why do you have to start with gnus? So after last Friday's share, that should be ringing bells to you, right? Why keravnu hamakom? Keravnu hamakom dafka. Right? And then you bring this pasuk from Yeshua. That you came from the Ever Anar. Terach avi Avraham, avi Nachor, v'avdu Elohim acherim. Ve'ekach et avichem el Avraham me'ever Anar. Okay, so let's try and explain this. So the reason why we have to start with gnus is like this. The reason why we have to start with gnus is because the nakuda here, and this is the nakuda of what Yetzias Mitzrayim and what Klal Yisrael is about, is what we spoke out. HaKadosh Baruch Hu created a new hanhaga that never was before, and He's applying that hanhaga to Klal Yisrael. And the reason why you have to understand that you have to start b'gnus is because you need to create that contrast. We were like everybody else. There was olam kamin hagon oheg, and we were part of that. And we were like everybody else. And there was nothing special about us. And we were, of the Avodah Zarah, and we were stuck in the tumah like everybody else in the Bria. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu lifted us up and took us into a new Metzias. Mitchila of the Avodah Zarah Hayu Avotenu means that we were like everybody else. Yeah. We were doing all the nonsense, and we were stuck in the tumah, and we were in the Memtes Shari tumah. We're going to get to that later, right? And HaKadosh Baruch Hu Pasha lifted us up and took us into a new Metzias of living. Right? And that's why you see throughout this pasuk, it's and I took it's Avim Avraham Evana ve'olechoto b'chol Eretz Canaan, and I took him around the Eretz Mitzrayim. Ve'arbe, and I was marbe his zara. Ve'eten lo et Yitzchak, and I gave. It's always I. HaKadosh Baruch Hu is saying, I did this, I did that, I did this, I did that. Why is it HaKadosh Baruch Hu always stressing that he did this? Because HaKadosh Baruch Hu it wants us to understand that he's literally brought us into his world, his Metzius. There's an olam called olam here. Obviously, the whole bria is his. Sorry. Obviously, the whole bria is his world, right? But there, like we said, there's two hanhogas. There's the hanhoga of olam kamin hagona heg, which means that there's a system and you're part of the system. And there's another hanhoga, which is that you are dealing with Hakadosh Baruch Hu directly, and that's what Yetzias Mitzrayim is about. Yetzias Mitzrayim is about that HaKadosh Baruch Hu lifted us up and took us into his world. And it's the lifting, it's the raising up which is the Nakudah. That's why you have to start off by saying we were like everybody else, and HaKadosh Baruch Hu took us into a new Metzius. It's a new thing. Right? If you don't start off by saying that there was something else, so then you don't appreciate that contrast. You don't appreciate the fact that there is a new Metzius happening that was not there before. It did not exist. Right? Yeah, that's called Mitchila of the Avodah Zarah Hayu Avotenu. Now, and what is that Metzius? Kiravnu Hamakom, right? Hamakom, which is what we spoke about, which is the olam of Enod Milvado. It's the olam of Havaya, of the Shem Havaya, Haya Hove V'Yihya Mahavet Lakol. We'll talk about that later when we get to the Makkos. Right? It's Hakadosh Baruch Hu b'mchinat makom, that he is the beating heart and he. Beating heart. It's a very bad mashal I just said. He is Metzius itself. He is reality. He took us into that olam of Enod Milvado. Right? He took us into his hanhoga. Right? Keravnu hamakom la'avodato. He lifted us up. That's, by the way, the Rashi in Bereshis, right? Bereshis bara Elokim es hashamayim es haaretz, and Rashi brings there Bishvil Yisrael nikra Bereshis, Bishvil Truma shenikra Bereshis, Bishvil Chala shenikra Bereshis. It brings all of the things that are called Bereshis, right, in the Torah. Right? So why was it Bishvil Yisrael or Truma, or is it Chala? Like what is all this stuff? Like what's going on over there? Hmm? So the Maharal explains in Gur Aryeh, he explains that medrash. It says that there's a Metzius in the world that's called Truma, which means that there's the Hamon Am, there's the whole Isa, there's all the produce, which is just regular. It's normal, right? It's Chulin, right? It's Tevel. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu cuts a chelek off from that thing, and he imbues it with Kedusha, right? And that putters the whole Kri. Right? That putters the whole that is motzi all the kri from its chiyuv ma'aser. In other words, this is the hanhoga of the bria. This is b'shvil Yisrael, b'shvil Truma. All of these things. It's that Hakadosh Baruch Hu takes a chelek from the hamon, right, from the regular. He cuts that thing off and he imbues that thing with kedusha. He raises that thing to a higher status, and that is mashpia on the whole kri. Now the whole Kri becomes mutter. Right? The whole Kri, receives its purpose and its kedusha through that. That's what the hanhoga of Klal Yisrael is, and that's what's happening right now. We were like everybody else, and HaKadosh Baruch Hu lifted us up into a new Metzius. And that's why it's HaKadosh Baruch Hu, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Right? It's right. So what is it? What does the pasuk say? Terach avi Avraham va'avi Nachor. In other words, it brings the brother there. It brings the brother. Avraham was Nachor's brother. They were the same, right? Ve'yavdu Elohim acharim, and they were being oved avodah zarah. Ve'ekach et aviem et Avraham me'ever hanar ve'olich oto b'chol eretz Canaan. HaKadosh Baruch Hu took Avraham and he brought him to Eretz Mitzrayim. Right? So that's also that's a Maharal in Gevuras, right? The Maharal, the beginning of Gevuras, where he spends a number of prokim talking about Avraham Avinu, right? And he explains like this, that well, look, let's say like this: the psukim say before Lech Lecha that Terach died, and then it says Lech Lecha. And then the next pasuk is Lech Lecha. So Rashi asks over there, why does the pasuk say that Terach died? If you do the Cheshbon, Terach died after Avraham. So Rashi brings one of the Midrashei Chazal that you shouldn't think that Avraham wasn't Makayim Kibbud Av V'em properly. So the Torah says that Avraham died before. So the Maharal in Gvura says a different pshat, right? He says another mahalach. Says that the way that the world generally works is things progress. There's progression. In other words, societies develop, and people start things, and society and humanity develops over time. Haggadah Baruch Hu wants us to understand that what Avram did was not a progression of which came before him. Everything that came before him is dead, finished, it's gone. It's not there anymore. Right? And that's the whole nekuda of Lech Lecha. Lech Lecha me'artzecha mimoladetcha mebet avicha ela aretz asher erecha. Go to an entire new place, cut yourself off from everything that you had before, because you are starting something new. You are going to be the seed that is starting a new mahalach in the world that is not a progression of what came before you. It's dafka, not a progression of what came before you. It's a whole new thing. That's why Avraham is taken away mibet Abba. Mibet Abba. And Beis Abba means Yerusha. Right? That's one of the deepest things. Right? That all of your koichas and nefesh and everything are given to you through your parents. That's the omek in the mitzvah of kibbud av v'em. The omek in the mitzvah of kibbud av v'em is not just hakaras hatov, which is for sure true, right? But the omek is that your tchunas nefesh and your tachlis is given to you by Yerusha. Right? Your connection to HaKadosh Baruch Hu is through your parents. Right? Yeah, I don't want to get too much into that, right? But Avraham Avinu doesn't have that. He does not have that. He's totally cut off from everything that comes before him, because he's starting something new. He's starting something new. So ekach, I took him away, me'ever hana, va'alechoto be'eretz Canaan, va'abed zaro, ve'eten lo et Yitzchak, and I gave him Yitzchak. Yitzchak was the hemshech. Ve'eten li Yitzchak et Yaakov ve'et Esav, and I gave Yitzchak, Yaakov and Esav. And Yaakov and Esav, it doesn't mention Yishmael, but it mentions Esav. The reason why it mentions Esav is because Esav became, Yaakov was the Bechir Ha'avot. Yaakov became the sort of the end point of what HaKadosh Baruch Hu wanted. Right? He's the Chutei Meshulash. He's the person that was the end point that God had in mind when what he wanted from the Avot. And Memela, Yaakov is the one that creates the Yud Beis Shvatim, which is the seed of Klal Yisrael, which we'll get to, right? In Arami Ovedavi. But in other words, Yaakov and Esav, Yaakov becomes the one that he's the Bechira Avod, and Esav is kind of like he's a Rasha, but he is the sort of the Abba of the Goyim, right? He's considered the Abba of all the Goyim. He is the one that is the whole Western world, is Galus Edom, which is kind of like in Chazal the Iker of the Goyim. They're the ones that we're in now, and here they're mentioned because they go. The Baal Haggadah wants to point out to you that they go on two different paths. They go on two different paths. And there was Avram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov. Where is it? What does it say? Yaakov et Esav ve'eten Esav et Hasei l'Resh Toto ve'Yaakov aban of Yarden Mitzrayim. Now there's two destinies, right? There's absolutely two things happening over here. There's Esav, which is now the block of the rest of the world. They go to Hasei l'Resh Toto. That means that their Yerusha, their Chelek is Olam Hazeh. Right? And Yaakov goes to Mitzrayim. Why does he go to Mitzrayim? Because there he needs to go and build Klal Yisrael, which we'll talk about again in the Arami of Edavi. He goes to a place that Mitzrayim is Zermat Chamorim B'Saram V'Zermat Susim Zermatam. Right, as Chazal say in Yevomus, which is that they have no tzura. Right, it's total tumah, and there HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants him to build Klal Yisrael, right? Because they're starting this whole new Hanhoga in the Bria, right? Which we'll go into later. Yeah, but that is the Nakuda here. That's why you have to start with Gunus, and this is what the Baal Haggadah wants to point out: that HaKadosh Baruch Hu lifted us up right, into a new Metzius, into a new way of living, right? and he developed that through the others until he gets to Yaakov, and then Yaakov did it. Yaakov was mashlim the avodah, and now there's two mahalchim. There's two mahalchim that are kavur in the bria. There's the mahalach of Esav and there's the mahalach of Yaakov, and they're concretized, right? They're absolutely there. Yeah. So now, what is this hanhaga? Here is where you get into the next chelik of the Haggadah, which I want to sort of delve into a little bit today.
Just briefly,
yeah,
I'm back. Is there anything specific with the Resha to inherit it? Is that contrasting with Avraham, or just stam inheritance? And then the Maral goes into inheritance in Yerusha, and we see with Esav, he was Yerush.
Saying in a certain sense, yes. In other words, the Nakuda here is that his Yerusha, which means his Chelek, becomes Hasei. That's his Chelek. That's the end point of him. Esav's end, Esav's Tachlis is Hasei. What's Hasei? Right? Whatever. Right? Zelol Achshav. But the point, the Ikka Nakuda is that it's an Olam Hazadika thing. That's what it says by Yaakov after he had the meeting with Esav, and I'll see. I don't remember the exact lashon of the pasuk, but the ere or efkash is Adoni Seira. I'll see you in Say, and Rashi brings over there that we'll see him lasted lavai. You say this at the end of Pesukei Zimra. Hashem Lucham Moshe B'Goyim v'alu Moshe v'Hatzion lishpot Har Esav v'Haytan Hashem Lucham. Right, lishpot it Har Esav. Right, the Kadosh Baruch Hu is going to be shofet them. That's their end. Their end is Har Sei. Right? That's his Yerusha. But Yaakov doesn't get that Yerusha. He has no Yerusha here in Olam Hazeh. He goes down to Mitzrayim. His Yerusha eventually is Eretz Yisrael, but that's Eretz Yisrael is something else. It's got a din Palter and Shel Melech. That's why it's totally on Ma'asim. That's why if you're, it's not an absolute Yerusha, right? Because it means that if you do Aveiras, the Eretz kicks you out. Because Eretz Yisrael is again, it's living in a Kadosh Baruch Hu as well. It's not like a land. The rest of the Goyim, they have their land. It's theirs. It's not totally on their Ma'asim, right? They can be Rishayim. They are Rishayim, right? But it doesn't. What's the lashon? Mekioto. It doesn't throw them out. Eretz Yisrael throws you out. When your Yerusha is Eretz Yisrael, it's totally on your Maisim. Right? So, but that's the Nakuda here. Esav goes into an Olam Hazadika track, and Yaakov goes down to Mitzrayim, which is Dafka not an Olam Hazadika track. It's going to a place where they're going into an incubator, essentially, to create Klal Yisrael. And here, then the Baal Haggadah goes into this is like a very central part, right, of the story, which is the Vehisha Amda. Right? He says, so let's read this and get into this a little bit. Baruch Shomer Haftachato Yisrael Baruch Hu She'Hakadosh Baruch Hu Chishev et Haketz. Right, blessed, Hakadosh Baruch Hu is Baruch, that he keeps his promises to Klal Yisrael. She'Hakadosh Baruch Hu Chishev et Haketz. He calculated the end. לעשות כמו שמה לאברהם אבינו בברית בין הבתרים, שנאמר, ויאמר אברהם יודע תדע, he said to Avram, know, כי גר יהיה זרעך בארץ להם, ועבדום, ועינו אותם 400 שנה, וגם את הגוי אשר עבדו דן אנוכי ואחרי כן, יצאו ברכוש גדול. And then Vehi, and that bris, Vehi, what's the Vehi going on? Vehi Sha'amda is going on the bris bein Psarim. Vehi Sha'amda lavotenu velanu, שלא אחד בלבד דם עלינו לכלותנו, אלא שבכל דור ודור עומדים עלינו לכלותנו, והקדוש ברוך הוא מצילנו מידם. And you raise the glass there, because that's, the fact that you raise the cost there, that by the way, maybe we'll say that the Haggadah is nema on the cost. You have to say the Haggadah on the cost. That's why you have to pour the glass before it. Because the Haggadah, the Sipur, the Higad Telebincha is said on the cost, and that's why at the end you say the Bracha Gar Yisrael and Machlokes, whether we say Bracha on all four kaisos. I don't know what I think the Ashkenazim only say on do the Ashkenazim say on all four? or they say on 1 and 3. All 4. Okay, beseder, right? And then you say the bracha at the end, right? And you say the bracha, you say ala gofen because it's said ala kos. So when you, at points when you're raising the kos, the vice versa is there's something ikroni happening here, right? So so you say you raise the kos and you're magala the matzahs, and you say v'hisha amdal avasenu v'lanu shelo echad bilvad amad aleinu lechalatenu ela shachol deravnu lechalatenu v'kadosh baruch hu matzianu b'yadam. So the bris ben absarim is the thing that has saved us from being destroyed. In other words, there's something called Netzach Yisrael. Netzach Yisrael, that we will always survive. So what is this? So let's read through this slowly. Shakadosh Baruch Shemei Havtachot Yisrael. Shakadosh Baruch Hu Chishev et haketz. He calculated the ketz. What does that mean that he calculates the ketz? When you work out the end of something, that means that everything that's happening is moving towards that point. In other words, the ketz isn't just something that happens, or doesn't happen. It's calculated mirosh, and it's going to end here. Right? This is what's going to happen. We're getting to this point, and this is where we're going to end up. Right? That means that something has a tachlis, it has a purpose. Right? So HaKadosh Baruch Hu is mechashev the ketz, la'asot k'ma shene'amar la'Avraham Avinu. In other words, everything that happened was to bring towards something. It was to produce something. It was to produce something. What is that? V'yomer la'Avraham yodoah tedek higei yezerech b'eretzohem v'avdu v'inotam b'arba shana v'gam v'togoy asher avdu dan anochi v'achrei ken yetz'u b'rechush gadol. HaKadosh Baruch Hu was mechashev the ketz that he took Avraham and he made this bris with him, which we're going to go into. What is that bris? And he made a shvur with him that your seed is going to go into Mitzrayim and they're going to come out b'rechush gadol. Right? They're going to come out b'rechush gadol. That's the tachlis. That's the ketz. That is the plan that happened to Avraham mitchila, that they should go to Mitzrayim. They should be Meshuabad, right? And in the end, they should come out Baruch Gadol. So what is this? So the Pachad Yitzchak goes into this. Right? We have to try and understand. And why does this create something called Netzach Yisrael? This now means that you can't, that they come and they hit at us the whole time, and whatever happens, where HaKadosh Baruch Hu is matzilenu miyadam. So like this, Rashi says over there that he says in the Bris Bein Absarim. So what we need to do is we need to understand what is the Bris Bein Absarim. What is this Bris Bein Absarim? What is that? So what does Rashi brings there? That the pasuk says tzeh. Right? Right? He says to him, come outside. Right? And Rashi says, tzeh mi itztagninut shelcha. Come out from your itztagninut, from your muzzle. She'ein muzzle Yisrael. So what does that mean? So like this. So the Pachad Yitzchak explains this idea in the following. It's the first mimer on Pesach. He brings a gra that we know that the mashal that Chazal bring, there's a medrash which says that your neshama and your guf is a shotgun wedding. In other words, it's a forced wedding, and it's like a ben kfar that shenas el bas melech. It's like a pauper that marries a princess, and your neshama is the princess, and your neshama rejects olam hazeh, and memela everything that you give to your neshama from olam hazeh, she rejects, and that's what the pasuk says. V'hanefesh lo temaleh, that the soul is never filled, and this is you see this especially people that are in Kiruv. You see this all over the place, that people that they can have all the Olam Hazeh in the world and they're just not satisfied, they feel lost, and they feel that their life has no purpose. All of this is because that you have a neshama, right? And your neshama does not care about olam hazeh. It rejects olam hazeh. It does not do it for the soul, right? The only thing that the neshama is interested in ruchnius. So, yeah, what? We good? Yeah. So like this. So he brings a gra, right? Let's try and understand this a bit better. He says loy hare bas melech ke bas melech. In other words, goyim have some sort of soul. They don't have nishmas Yisrael, for sure not, right? But there's something that was special about Klal Yisrael, right? What's the rejection? What's the added layer, right, of rejection that Klal Yisrael have that the goyim don't? So he brings the Gra. The Gra says, the Gra brings that there's, but Asara Ma'amaras Nivra Ha'olam. The world, the Olam was created with Asara Ma'amaros. That's what the Gemara says, and the Gemara goes through what were the Ma'amaros, and because it counts them, and there's only 9. There's only 9. Vayomer Elakim Yehi Or, Vayehi Or. You go through all of them. There's only 9. So the maskana of the Gemara is Bereshis Nami Maimahu. Bereshis Nami Maima. In other words, Bereshis Bara Elokim Esa Shemayim Esa Aretz is a Maima. It's one of the Maimaris. So says the Gra. Says the Gra. What was created in the Maima of Bereshis? What was created? Says the Gra, Zman, time. Time itself. It's a very, very deep thing. The Gra is saying like this: time is the very, very first thing that HaKadosh Baruch Hu created. And if you think about this, Zman, time itself is the sort of background to within which the entire Bria is functioning. In other words, time allows movement, time allows progression, time allows things to develop, because if everything's frozen, nothing can move, right? It just is what it is, and that's it. Time is the most subtle of the levels of Gashmias that they are, and it's mamash the background music that is allowing the entire Bria to function. And that's the very, very first thing that HaKadosh Baruch Hu created, Bereshis, right? That there's time, there's movement, there's going towards. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu himself is outside of that, because he's Havaya. He's Haya, Hayve, V'yihye, Umahave Sakol, right? He is eternal, right? He is everything. He's outside of time. He created time. HaKadosh Baruch Hu just is, right? There's no beginning, there's no end, right? There's no yesterday, there's no tomorrow. He is Metzias, he is Nitzchias, he is Echad, Bekitza, right? Which we can't go too much into right now. That's that's basically all the first 4 the first 4 Yud Gimel Ikrim. But fine. But we understand, right, Poshet, that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is not bound by time, right? He's outside of that thing. And the first thing that HaKadosh Baruch Hu did when he created the Bria was that he created time. Right? Says the Pachad Yitzchak, right, Al Pi the Gra, this is what it meant, the Bris Bein Absarim. This is what Avraham Avinu was being told. Se mi'itzdagninut shilcha she'ein mazel liYisrael. There is a system. There is a system to how the world operates. And Avram was lifted, mamash what we started off with today, mitchila ovdei avodah zara hayu avaseinu, ve'achshav kiravnu hamakom la'avodasa. HaKadosh Baruch Hu lifted Avram Avinu up, se mi'itzdagninut shilcha, to every single level of the Bria. He took him out of that entire thing, and he took him into his world, into HaKadosh Baruch Hu's world, where you're outside everything, into the Olam HaVavaya itself, where there is no beginning, there is no end, there is nothing. There's nothing except HaKadosh Baruch Hu himself. Right? That's the world that Avraham Avinu was lifted to. Mamela, there's no muzzle there, there's nothing. Avraham, even though he was nigza, that he shouldn't have children, he's going to have children. All of this stuff doesn't apply to him. because he lives with HaKadosh Baruch Hu himself. There's nothing, right? There's nothing except him. It's his world. You're dealing with God directly. That's called the Bris Bein Absarim. The Bris Bein Absarim is the place where HaKadosh Baruch Hu lifted us up, lifted Avraham Avinu up into a new Bria. He made him something else. He made him Avraham, right? A new thing. He doesn't live like everybody else anymore, right? And that he became the seed that is going to develop in the end to Klal Yisrael. That's the Kates. The Kates is that you will be my guy now. I'm going to develop you into the nation that are my ambassadors. You are the people that are matzig. Ata matzig et kvod shamayim. You are the ones that are going to represent kvod shamayim and Torah in this world. You are the people that are going to push forward my agenda, and therefore you live with me now. You don't live with anybody else. That's the Kates. That's called Rechush Gadol, by the way, as well. You know, it says that by Avraham. It says that by Avraham. What Moshe Rabbeinu says, he tells Klal Yisrael when they eventually leave Mitzrayim to take all of the wealth of Mitzrayim with them, and Rashi brings there that there's the pasuk has when Moshe Rabbeinu says this to them, he says lashon na, please, right? And Rashi brings a Medrash Chazal which says that please do it so that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is saying to them, so that Avraham Avinu won't have a time on me that he was Makayim this chelik of the inu otam la'arba shana, but v'yetzer baruchush gadol lo kiyem, right? That he won't, in other words, he was Makayim the tough bit, but the good bit at the end he wasn't Makayim, right? So HaKadosh Baruch Hu said, please take the rechush. What's this whole inyan with the rechush? What's the whole problem with what's the whole big idea with the rechush? So the inyan in the rechush is like this. The inyan in rechush is that when you come out with rechush gadol, it shows that you've come out with something that you didn't have before. That's what the rechush gadol represents, right? It's not the money. About the money, right? They're going to go and live on man, right, for the next 40 years. There's a lot of kesef. Right? It's not. They don't need gold or silver. They didn't have to buy anything in the midbar anyway, right? They had no need for it. But etzem, right? That was adarabah. That was the taina on them, right, in the midbar. That was one of the nisyonos that they had when they started thinking like that in the midbar. The rechush gadol is a simon, right? Because this. The gashmi is always parallel to what's happening in the ruchni, right? That they should come out with rechush gadol. In other words, they have to come out in Mitzrayim with the outward expression that they now have something that they did not have when they went in, right? Because what Mitzrayim was all about was creating an entire nation where now they operate on the darga of Avraham Avinu. Normally, before Klal Yisrael was created, such a hanhaga, you had to earn that. And the only person basically that ever earned that hanhaga in the whole of the history of mankind was Avraham Avinu. He earned that through his Asara Nisyonos, which is all parallel to the Asara Makkos and everything else, right? He earned that hanhaga, that he now lives with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Right? But now it's the whole of Am Yisrael live like that, right? And this is that is the Kates. The Kates is HaKadosh Baruch Hu makes a bris with Avraham, a bris, right? By the way, also a bris. We'll add that in there. That the Ramban says in Chumash, Moshe Shapiro always used to quote this. That the word bris, the Ramban says, is miloshen bria. In other words, whenever there's a bris, it means that there's a new bria happening over here. There's a bria chadasha. But there's something new that wasn't here before, a totally new thing. And this is what's happening here. You must see it b'chush, it's obvious. The Bris Bein Absarim took Avraham and put him into a new Metzias. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu made a ketz, he made a tachlis and said, the end point here is that there's going to be, all of your seed are going to be like that. You're going to be the people that live on that darga constantly, right? That's where you're going to live. And that's what Yetzias Mitzrayim is about. That's what stood for our fathers and us. Says the Pachad Yitzchak, this is the side of Netzach Yisrael. Netzach Yisrael means that when you live with HaKadosh Baruch Hu, time doesn't matter to you anymore. You'll never get rid of us. Right? Like you'll never get rid of HaKadosh Baruch Hu because you don't live within the constraints of time anymore. Klal Yisrael now lives in a darga where just like HaKadosh Baruch Hu is Netzach, because he's outside of that thing, Klal Yisrael also have to be Netzach. There cannot be a world without Klal Yisrael anymore, right? Because we are living with him now. Right? We are the ones that are the expression and the ones that are being Megale HaKadosh Baruch Hu's Ratzon in the world. And Memela, they can't get rid of us anymore. It's impossible to get rid of us because we live there. We live there. Everything that lives within the Ma'arechet of Olam Hazeh has a beginning, has an end. There was a time before it. There was there was a time that before it existed. There was a time after it existed. Klal Yisrael doesn't live like that anymore. Right? And Adarabah, Bishvil Yisrael Shenik Rereshis. Right? The whole thing was for them at the beginning. It was like that Mirosh. Klal Yisrael now live in a place where there is nothing. There's nothing that can stop them because they live with HaKadosh Baruch Hu himself. Right? They live on that darga. Yeah? That's the Bris Bein Absarim. V'hi she'amda lavatenu velanu shelo echad bilvad amad aleinu lechalotenu ela shebechol davar do amda aleinu lechalotenu v'HaKadosh Baruch Hu matzilenu miyadam. The Goyim, they can't wait to get rid of that thing because when you see Klal Yisrael, you see that there's responsibility, that there's mashma'ut to your maisim, that there's a kates, that there's a tachlis, that there's din, right, and cheshbon at the end of it. All of the, it's much more comfortable to live b'shriras libi. That's why the Goyim hate us. That's why they can't stand us. They always want to get rid of us because we are the conscience of the world. We're the ones that say that there's tachlis to it and it serves a purpose and you can't just do what you want. You're responsible for your maisim, right? And at the end, you're going to have to give account to everything that you did, right? And if we mess up, we've got a problem. They don't want that. They want to get rid of that, but they can't because we now live with him. We now live in a whole new realm of existence, right? And that's the Bris Bein Absarim, right? So here, the Baal Haggadah again, right? He said he started the story now, and then again he's going to go into more details, and that's the Tzeul Mad, and here is in a way the Ikka, right? We're going to start tomorrow the Ikka of the story, which is Arami Oved Avi and darshaning these 4 psukim. The central thing here is that you darshan these 4 psukim, right, about the story of Mitzrayim and the Geula. Right? But here's the starting point. The starting point is Maschel B'Glus. Understand that you were like everybody else. HaKadosh Baruch Hu lifted you up. He lifted Avraham up into a new Metzius, into a new Bria, into a new way of living. He lifted him into his world, and he put him on the path of becoming of creating a nation that are going to be the representatives of HaKadosh Baruch Hu in this world. And he made a bris with him, and that bris is Semi Tzlakninut Shilcha Ein Mazol Yisrael. You're now living with me, and that is the side of Netzach Yisrael. He lifted him up outside the entire system, every level of the Bria, until he gets to living with HaKadosh Baruch Hu himself, even the most subtle level of the Bria, which is time itself, and that's expressed in Netzach Yisrael. That's the Pachad Yitzchak Tzvot, right? That's Rav Hutner. That is the Omek in Netzach Yisrael, that we live there, we live on that darga. And Memela v'hisham dalav aseinu velanu. That is the story of the Jewish people, and that is what the Yetzias Mitzrayim is about. And now we're going to go and talk into more detail about how that happened and what was all the knachin, all the details of that story. Okay, all right. That's what I wanted to tell you. Okay, 1 second.